Today we're heading to a palace, Blenheim Palace. Super excited. I'm a big fan of James Bond and it was used in some of the filming. Interesting fact, it is actually the only palace that doesn't have royal ties in England that is allowed to be called a palace. I'm really excited to see this.
Yep, it's very big, great grounds, but it's where Churchill was also born and it's been used in quite a bit of filming.
It's about an hour away. They opened up about half an hour ago, so...
In half an hour, actually.
In half an hour.
Yep.
So...
We should be there pretty good timing.
Yeah, we're gonna be timing it pretty good. It's really cool when you go driving around like this. Sometimes you just run into towers, castles, and palaces along the way to your destination. And we just saw a tower. We couldn't get a close-up of it because all the trees and everything.
So I went online this morning and I booked 2 tickets for Blenheim Palace. We go up to the front now, and we booked it with a single day. However, through the end of January 22nd of 2022, if you buy a single day, you can get 15 months for free, so we get an annual pass. We're going up to the front right now to pick up our annual pass, and maybe in the next year we'll be back.
This is where that Bond car chase happened.
Inspector. This took 28 years to complete from one side to the other, and the person that started it was a Churchill. He was gifted the money by Queen Anne because he defeated the French in the 1700s in south of Germany, and so he started building this, and by the time it finished he was no longer alive, so he never got to see it completed. Churchill, Winston Churchill, one of his great descendants, was his parents were here on a visit, on like a dance night type thing, on a party, and he decided to arrive early, so she was whisked away from the party down into a storage room where she gave birth to Winston Churchill. Would have gone upstairs to the bedrooms, but it was 2 flights up, and when you're in labor, that was quite a long way to go, so they just took her to a storage room, and that's the story.
We're in the red drawing room right now. All of these rooms are mostly used for entertainment, but this room was used a lot for couples meeting when they were courting, and they would sit on this red sofa, and then the person who was the chaperone would sit right over there in that little section and stop any inappropriate behavior that could happen.
Here's a copy of that letter that he wrote to his wife, saying that they were victorious at the Battle of Blenheim and asked for her to deliver it to the Queen. That's where the money came from and why it's called Blenheim Palace. There's quite a few nods to Louis XIV. We're not quite sure why. The different artworks, and there's upholstery that has been custom made to put his face in it, so we're going to find out why. It's kind of as we expected. There's a lot of nods to Louis XIV because that's who they beat in the Battle of Blenheim in the early 1700s, and King Louis XIV would have been in rule then. And so it's kind of a tease as we beat you, and just a little nod to that.
It's a very impressive library. They have a ton of books. They have this massive organ at the end of the library.
Just off the back of the library here, there's the front, down the corridor, and you've got their own chapel.
So looking around this chapel, it's surprisingly simplistic in comparison to the house, and that was done intentionally to draw more attention to the monument that you see right over here. They wanted it to really stand out. Yeah. So the Duke's wish was to be buried here after this place was finished being built. However, he died before it was finished. So his wife spent the remainder of her life making sure that this was done to his standards and he could eventually be moved here. Since he died before, though, he was buried in Westminster Abbey, and it wasn't until after his death and his wife's death that he got moved. All these beautiful fountains behind me were not installed until the 10th Duke lived here. The 9th Duke actually surprisingly preferred the water to be still and was not a big fan of the fountains, but the next one thought that they were quite romantic and preferred them, so they were installed. It all kind of ties together. The Duke thinking that the fountains were very romantic, so he had them put in, and then in the corners you have the goddess of love. It's just, it all ties into romance and the grandeur of everything.
Yep. Also, we're outside. She's only got her face mask on because it's like 35 degrees out here, 40 degrees, and she's like, it's keeping her face warm. So as we mentioned to you guys earlier, there's been quite a bit of filming that's been done here. Stuff and movies from Indiana Jones to James Bond, Cinderella, Harry Potter. It's quite a massive estate, from the woodlands to the different gardens, as well as the palace itself. So don't be surprised if you've seen this in different films.
The palace is still privately owned by a family. However, they usually stay here during the winter months because it's a little bit less touristy and are primarily here for like Christmas and New Year's. However, with COVID recently, they haven't been coming here.
No, they've got another place about 5 miles away.
Yeah.
They still come here because they have offices here, but they've moved out due to COVID, and they're kind of unsure if
they don't know
when.
when or if they will be coming back anytime soon, but they still have offices here.
Yeah, so they still make their way here. They see their cars quite often, but they only live a couple minutes away, but they're still around. What's the password? Bonus points again if you know that movie. We're now inside at the Blenheim Palace gift shop and cafe.
There was a line at the other cafe that we just went to, so we just walked right across the palace to this other one, and they're very, very cute, so I'll show you what it looks like. I got the brownie, you got tea.
Winston Churchill was known to be a great painter.
Typically why Churchill was here, he'd spend a lot of his time here in the summer terrace and start his morning, have his breakfast, smoke his cigar, and would try to paint the grounds as much as possible.
Mentioned a few times, there's quite a bit of film that's been done on the property. It's too bitterly cold to walk out there, but this tree is on property, and that was used in Harry Potter.
Get some food, go back to the room. We walked out of the palace, just went through the gate, and we're in town right now. We thought we'd stop at the pub for a tea.
So we drove over to the Diddley Squat Farm Shop. However, they're not open for the next little bit, so we came over instead to Daylesford Farm, and we're going to check this area out. So we're in Marlborough region, so we had to get the Duke of Marmalade Session Amber, and she got a cloudy lemonade, and you said it was really good, huh?
Mm-hmm.
So this is Daylesford's organic in Kingham area. They have won over 280 international awards, and in 2021 they got a Michelin Green Star. So we're gonna check it out. I got a venison burger, and she got a flatbread that had Parmesan. So it's quite nice. You've got this area here. You can watch them make their own food, and then there's a pizza oven right back there. Little flatbread was good, but she wanted something a little more, so we got a pasta, a wild mushroom pasta.
Excited about this one. We grabbed a bite to eat and we walked around the farm shop afterwards. They have a bunch of back areas with like health, wellness. They do cooking classes here, which was really cool. You can book different things for different times. Just a really wide variety. A lot of good stuff. It was great. We would definitely shop here if we lived over here.